I was really disaffected with Heck Hill Lancaster when Burt and Jim took over the editing and the rescoring of the picture. And Harold was rather rudely shoved aside, and I was kind of left off the team. The only time that's ever happened to me. Harold called one evening and said, we're having a screening. This is before the picture opened, out at the theater out on Sunset Boulevard. You want to come and see it? And I said, no, I don't want to see it. He said, well, I think you ought to just see the changes. And I said, Harold, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see Jim, and I don't want to see Burt. And he kind of argued about it a little bit, but he finally said, okay. I hung up the phone, and my wife said, honey, I think you ought to go. Harold wants you to go. I said, no, damn it, I'm not going. They can do anything that they want to with the picture. I don't want any more to do with it. And she said, well, I'm going to go. I think you ought to know what they have done. So she drove by herself out to the theater. And she came back and reported on the changes they had made, but she also said she ran into Rita in the lobby. Rita said, where's Del? And Ann told her he didn't want to come. He's upset at Jim and angry. And she turned to Jim and I guess started berating him right at that moment, defending me. And it developed into a fight. About 3 o'clock in the morning, the phone rang, and it was Rita, who was on the phone, hysterical, crying, and she and Jim had had a big fight, sprung from the fight in the theater, and he had walked out. She was now alone in her house and said, you've got to come over and talk to me. I said, Rita, I can't, I'm asleep. You've got to come, you've got to. Okay, I'll come. I turned to my wife, who was sitting up in bed with her curlers in her hair, and she said, where do you think you're going? I said, well, honey, she's upset, she's crying, she's hysterical. Jim is gone, she needs somebody to talk to. She said, I'm coming with you. So she, keeping the curlers in her hair, she threw a scarf over her head and threw on a coat over her nightgown. I quickly put on a shirt and pants and shoes, and we got in the car and drove to Rita's. The door opened, and Rita's face, when she saw Ann standing behind me, was a sight to be seen, I've got to tell you. But it was a good thing that Ann was there, because Rita literally was just hysterical. And we talked until dawn, the three of us sitting in the living room. And Ann finally got her quieted and kind of curled up in the chair and found a blanket and put it over her. And that was the story of my conference with Rita. We walked out of the house in the dawn's early light and found that in my haste I had parked on the wrong side of a Beverly Hills street and had a ticket on the car and said, it's a good thing it's just for parking.